Hey, so today I'm going to show you this program that I built that I found to be pretty useful. What it does, it allows you to create your own Spectrum videos, much like your SDR will show you here. You can do it much faster in real time, and you can configure it to be how you want it to be. Now, this tool is pretty powerful. You can produce all sorts of cool stuff with it. For example, here is a huge video of an ATSC signal. And here's another video of a bunch of different FM signals. You can see it's so large I have to scroll across the screen. And you can even go ahead and get audio output, just like this spectrum here.
Or Plymouth. This is KCJK FM and HD1 Minneapolis, St. Paul. We are Jack FM, a radio.com station.
Download the app now for the only way to listen to 104.1 Jack FM anytime, anywhere.
Now, this program will run under both Windows and Linux, but only Windows has the GUI like this, which is what I'm going to be covering today. You can configure it yourself and run under Linux. It's just a bit more of a hassle. So let's go ahead and start off with just a basic example. So we want to go ahead and add a canvas. And now we pick the IQ file we want to open. So this will open either just binary files or you can open WAV files. If you open a binary file, you have to tell it the sample rate and the sample format. But if you open a WAV file, it'll figure it out for you. Now this is our editor here. On the left side, you have a preview of the video. And on the right side, you have the options for it. So there's two main things that you have to worry about. You have your audio demodulators and your components. Now the audio demodulators actually demodulate the audio, like it says, and exports it to a file. And the components are actually what you see in the video. So you can have multiple audio outputs for each file, but you can only have one video output. So first of all, what we have to do is add a component so we can actually see it. So let's go ahead and add a spectrum. Now here you can configure it. We have your center frequency here, which is only just for labeling. It doesn't actually affect anything. You have your FFT bins here, which adjusts the resolution. You have your offset, your range, and the height in pixels of the output. And you can also adjust the smoothing a little bit here. So once we add that, you can see in our preview, we have a preview of the spectrum. Now let's go ahead and add a waterfall as well. We have the similar options here. We can adjust the height and the FFT bins and all this good stuff. So we're just going to leave that all default. Now you can see our spectrum here is whizzing by very, very quickly. Now, right now we won't actually get any audio out of this. So let's add an audio demodulator. Let's add this broadcast FM demodulator. Now we have to set the label here. And then we set where we want to output the audio to. So let's just name this audio. And then you have some other options here, like your bandwidth and your sample rate. We're just going to leave those default and save that. Now, you also might want to do is be able to zoom into your file or adjust which part of the file you're looking at. So we can adjust the frequency offset here, and that'll change the center of the file. So if you had a signal off to the right of the file, not centered, you could go ahead and offset everything to the center. So that would center the signal that you want. We're just going to leave this at 0 for now. Now your decimation here allows you to zoom in. You can see if I increase it by 2, we 2x and 3x and so on. I'm just going to leave this at 2. And then our transition ratio and the attenuation are for the decimation. It allows us to kind of adjust the performance a little bit. If you turn up the attenuation, the program will run a lot slower, but you'll get less crosstalk. So you want this to be as low as you can go without it causing problems with your signal here. Now the transition ratio here is actually opposite. If we turn this up, the program will run faster, but you get this kind of weird fading of the edges of the signal. So you want this to be as high as you can really have it without it causing problems. And the last thing we want to do is pick our video output. So we're going to choose output here. We're just going to call this video and save it. And now we're basically ready to go. This is a preview of what the file will look like, but now we have to go ahead and render it out to a file. So let's close this and click the render button here, and it'll start processing it. Once that's completed, we can go ahead and take a look at our video, and you can see it's using the same settings we just provided it with. And it looks quite nice. And we also have our audio here as well.
Country. Learn how you can show your support at this.
Now let's go ahead and do something a little bit more advanced. So let's reopen the program and add another canvas. And this time we're going to pick this binary file here. Now this file is actually recorded at 10 megasamples per second. So it's 10, 123, 123, which are a lot of zeros. And we pick our format and hit OK. And now the file is ready for use. So let's go ahead and add a spectrum so we can see what we're doing. And you can see there's a lot of signals here, but we only really care about one. So let's go ahead and use this decimation here to zoom into the one that we're interested in. Now let's say the signal that we're interested in isn't the one in the center here. It's actually this way a little bit. So we'd adjust the frequency offset to bring that into the center of the screen. You can see the signal that we're interested in is now in the center here. And we want to go ahead and add a waterfall. You can see now that's coming down. And it's running quite slowly. Let's go ahead and adjust the attenuation to kind of speed up the program a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's running much faster. Now let's go ahead and adjust the FFT bins here as well. I recommend 8,192. Now this has to be a multiple of 2 as well. You can see the signal just looks a lot nicer now. Now let's say we also want audio. So let's go ahead and add a broadcast audio demodulator. And then this default, and just remember this because we're going to use it in a second here. And let's just save this as, I don't know, audio 2. And leave everything else default. Now let's go ahead and add a RDS bar here. Now what an RDS bar does is just shows the RDS information from a broadcast FM station. So we want to go ahead and put the demodulator label we used earlier in here. That'll link this to that demodulator. So you can see at the bottom here, we now have this bar here. So this looks good to me. Let's go ahead and close this and start the rendering process. Now, despite being such a large and complex file, you can see it's actually running very, very quickly here. It says it'll just take about 20 seconds. Now let's finish rendering. We can go ahead and open it up. And we can see it has the same parameters we set earlier. So that's a pretty basic overview of this program. I've been using it a lot recently, and I hope you find it as useful as I do. I'm excited to release this publicly, and I hope you can find a use out of it. I'll have some more information in the description about how you can set it up and use it. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.